guys, it's Kat, and every year I used to do this video where I came back and shared what I learned in the year, because I'm a perpetual student and I like to make a point of sharing the things that I've learned. But I haven't done that for a couple of years, so I thought that we would bring it back in this era of experimental content creation that I'm in. Here are 5 things that I learned about myself in 2025. 2025 was a real doozy of a year. 2025 was the year I learned a lot about myself. And it's funny because when I turned 30, people mentioned to me that 30 wasn't nearly as big of a deal as 35. And I found that to be quite true. So here are some things that I've learned, and I hope you can learn something from them as well. Number 1, vocalizing negative self-speak teaches you to identify with it. Now, I am a person who has a pattern of self-deprecating humor where I say things like, I'm stupid or I'm silly, etc., etc. And when I was in Boston burying my father, and I was having conversations with my aunt who, you know, my father's side of the family, were not as close as my mother's side of the family. So in so many ways, we're kind of getting to know each other. She heard me say this and she was like, don't vocalize that. Don't manifest it. Because if you do, you are teaching yourself to identify with it. And it's something that I've actually started to really recognize is true. When you repeat certain things about yourself over and over again, about bad habits you have or bad patterns that you fall into, you really do teach yourself not to really break those things down, but to sort of see them as like a normal part of how you are. And yeah, some of us have habits that will probably die hard, but it's true that it's possible for you to change bad habits if you want to. And so instead of saying things like I'm stupid or I lose things, etc., etc., there's a way to change your habits where maybe you don't do the things that inspire you to say those things, right? And that is actually going to lead me to number 2 on this list, which is small changes every single day can add up into good habits. Now, I know that some people aren't going to necessarily love this particular subject, so I will give a trigger warning for body changes, weight loss, etc., etc. A lot of people have noticed I have lost weight. And I'm going to write something about this for my blog, but I have mixed feelings about it. I've got a lot of mixed feelings about it, but really, the way that I lost weight is because I wanted to commit to eating more greens. And for me, that was mostly through salads. I started developing a thing for cucumber salads, and I made a point of committing to having a cucumber salad at least once a week. Now, at this point, I have salads pretty often. I actually like salads. And it's weird because for me, I always struggled with maintaining a certain diet because there's just certain things that I always felt forced to eat, salad being one of them. But I developed my own interest in salad, and without really trying to lose weight, I started to lose weight. And it sort of translated into an overall shift in my diet. Right around this time of year, we would be talking about our resolutions and things that we're gonna permanently change, right? And I always had the problem of starting things and then not sticking to them. And so what I recognized is that it's not really about making those changes at like one severe, distinct moment. What it's actually about is making those changes little by little by little. And slowly but surely, habits will form. And so I sort of learned that even if I might not feel like it is the most amazing, most celebratory thing to not start at a specific date and commit to it for a certain period of time, even doing a little bit is something, and will eventually lead up to the point where you're bored of doing that one little thing. You want to do some things that are a little bit more interesting. So yeah, that's a big thing for me. That's a big thing I learned this year. Number 3, and this is probably the most predictable of my list if you follow me and pay attention to how I live my life. I have to go dancing at least once a week to maintain a positive relationship with my body. A lot of people ask me, what is the thing that helped me become more confident. And I would say that probably the number one thing is dancing. I go out dancing at least once a week. I go to the goth club. I make a point of doing it. And if I don't make it to the goth club, I definitely notice. And my partners definitely notice. My boyfriend jokes with me all the time about this because I'll just start dancing around him and stuff if I haven't gone dancing. This weekend we went to this place called Gold Diggers in LA, and I basically only go to goth things, but I will occasionally go to like a little funk dance thing. And this was a really cool funk dance thing. And I went with my partner, had a really great time. And, you know, I did it. I got a little bit of my dancing out, but frankly, I am a goth. So I've missed the club. The past 2 weeks have been hard because of the holiday. The fucking New Year's is the day of my usual club night, which I'm pretty annoyed with, and I don't want to pay to get into that club, so I won't be going to that club. But I have learned that dancing is very central to my self-care. It's very central to the way that I maintain a working relationship with my body. It's how I check in with my body. It's how I'm able to really understand that like my body is my own and I can move it and groove it however I want. You know, and it's so funny because there's a lot of conversations I've heard recently about intimacy and dancing and how some people struggle to dance because they struggle with intimacy. And it made me realize like, oh, that's why I have such a relationship with my body, because I make a point of dancing every single week. So that's something that I solidified for sure this year. Number 4, and this is a big one, and you guys are gonna see some stuff that's related to this hopefully in the next year. Underestimating my ability means I never improve. What I mean by that is I have a lot of shit in my apartment that I bought for projects that I am intimidated about doing. And there's stuff in my apartment that has literally sat there for years and years and years. I had like one idea for it. Things have changed, like I've changed styles or whatever, but I kept it and I held on to it because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't mess this up. But it also meant that I wasn't actually approaching some of the projects where I can learn these skills to actually do these things much better, right? And so one of the big things I'm going to do next year is tackle some of those projects and hopefully capture doing that. Because for me, I'm kind of tired of feeling like I can't grow in certain ways because I'm so focused on other stuff. We'll get to that a bit later. But I have everything in my life right now to encourage me to be thrifty and to use what I've already got. So we're definitely going to be doing that next year. And I've learned that, you know, when I avoid pursuing certain things, doing certain things, what it really ends up doing is it just stops me from growing. It keeps me in the same exact place. And I'm a person who's always trying to grow and change. And I know that if I don't challenge myself, I'm not going to get there. So I gotta take on some challenges next year. That's my plan. I guess that's my resolution, so to speak. Number 5, and this was a big one, I have to believe that I am lovable to be able to recognize and fully accept love. This was the year where I had the full realization that my partners actually loved me. And what I mean by that is, you know, I know my partners love me, but I have a way of not believing that people could love me because of some of my experiences. And as my self-esteem has improved, I've recognized I have so much in me that is lovable, that is deserving of love. And if I buy into negative ideas about who I am, or if I say that I am undeserving of it, it makes it much harder for me to appreciate my partners and the love that they have for me when they're right in front of me. And so that is a really, really big thing, that part of me practicing love and expressing love needs to be me loving myself, me taking care of myself. Self-love is the biggest way that I'm able to actually be in love. because I can't love other people if I don't love myself, you know, to quote RuPaul. But it's really huge. And loving yourself is kind of like a complicated thing, because you got to look at yourself, and looking at yourself can be really hard. But because I'm always committed to growth, I feel pretty good about that. And this year, really look around at my life and appreciate it for what it is. Anyway, you guys, I made it home. I'm in my patio. And so I figured that I would close out the video this way. So I wrote a blog post about all of the stuff that I talk about in this video, but also my plans for the future on this channel. And I want to say that the big thing I'm realizing as the year comes to a close is that I've spent a really long time on here focusing on what I'm producing on here, and I've grown a lot. I mean, we just surpassed, last time I checked, 625,000 subscribers. I am so thankful for those of you who joined me, especially the past year, especially the past 2 years. If you joined me because of the video essays, like, I appreciate you. If you joined me because of the recent live streams, I appreciate you. I appreciate those of y'all who have been here from day one. I appreciate those of y'all who have been here since I was living in Orange County. I appreciate those of y'all who've been here since I was living in San Gabriel Valley, right? I appreciate the people that have followed me over the years, and YouTube is something that I've done with a lot of passion, and I've kind of struggled to sort of figure it out because I've done it for so long, and I never set out for it to be my career. And what I'm coming to recognize is that because I never set out for it to be my career, it's probably not something that I should spend all of my time on. and you know, this year, as I've started to have a little bit better way of working, I talk about this in my blog again, but because I've figured out a better way of working, I've started to recognize, like, oh shit, I've got a lot of other stuff I want to do. And there's so much stuff that I haven't done, that I could have done, that I put aside because of YouTube. And I'm very happy that I have the success that I have, and the, you know, the platform that I have. And of course it could be so much greater. But, you know, the thing is, I think part of me growing is actually going to be me putting the time aside to focus on some of the creative projects that I have had in my soul for so long. And I've been talking a lot about this over the years on Patreon. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the people who are on there with me, who have listened to me talk about this over the years, because it's kind of the natural conclusion. It's kind of where we're reaching, I think, a point that I've needed to be at in a really long time. YouTube is something I care a lot about, and I actually do not foresee a time in my life where I will not be doing stuff on YouTube. But I have historically overthought most of the shit that I post on here. I work really, really, really hard in a way that is kind of suffocating. And I'm not going to say that it hasn't been worth it, but this year was the first year I sat down and I did like the numbers, and I realized, okay, bitch, if we are judging it based purely on how much you get back, you know, maybe there were some better ways you could have done this. Maybe there were some faster and, you know, just better ways that you could have completed this particular task. And I am kind of coming into accepting and celebrating that. Like, I have been working hard, but not necessarily smart. And working smart, I think, would be me recognizing that this is where I'm, you know, keeping my lights on, but it's not what I've always wanted to do. And there's more that I want to do. And I think that doing this has given me a lot of talent, a lot of ability. I'm very thankful for it, but I have more in me. And there are sides of me that I've not really been able to celebrate, you know, to my point about how you don't improve if you underestimate your ability. I've underestimated my ability, and it's made me sort of stagnant in a lot of ways as a creative person, because most of my creative energy has been put towards YouTube. It hasn't been put towards the comic book that I want to publish, the book that I want to publish, the many stories I have within me, the film ideas that I have, all these things that I feel very drawn to at this exact moment. And so I think I've started to crack the code a little bit about how I can sort of make all of this work and also have my life and also still be the creative person that I need to be. And part of that is definitely going to have to be that you guys see more of my creative shit because I have to make at least some of it work. That's really the only way I'm going to actually get it done. So what that's probably going to mean for you guys is that I'm still doing those video essays. I still have a lot of them in me, right? But what I think I'm going to do is the mainstay stuff on my channel is going to be edited live streams, which means those of you guys who have missed me doing live streams, you guys are going to get more live streams. I probably, before getting very into the first part of the next year, will have figured out a schedule, and I will tell you guys that schedule. I will also be clear about this right away. I have decided that I'm going to make some of my live streams members only. The more casual ones are going to be the public ones. The more intense ones where I'm filming a video very deliberately, those are going to be the members only ones. So you will see that reflected in the membership list. I have added a new layer for certain members who want to join me for those live streams. And really, more than anything, this is something I'm doing because I want to keep trolls out of my chat. So that is something that I'm doing and I don't feel bad about it. But yeah, I am very excited about some of the stuff I have to do. And I think last year I was also excited about doing creative stuff, but I was overthinking it. And this year I want to do less of that. I want to do a lot less of that and a lot more just doing, you know? So that's what I'm excited about for next year. I am really excited about the stuff that I have planned. I've joked for years and years and years that my channel is just going to become a post-apocalyptic prepper channel. And I'm going to be honest, we may be entering that era. I used to joke about this, but now I'm kind of serious about it, low-key. One of the things I want to do is there's a lot of skills that I'm trying to remember, but then also teach myself. There's also skills that I'm trying to improve upon. And I think I want to make that more of a part of my channel than it historically has been. And I also want to use my blog a lot more. And I also need to stop overthinking my blog. I have a lot of stories and things that I'm working on that I'm going to turn into video essays and stuff. And one of the things I recognize is I need to start thinking about stuff in that term, right? Doing these sort of longer, more investigative pieces that I bring to YouTube. I also bring to my blog, but take me a lot more time, you know, because the problem I've always had with this stuff is I always feel like I have to complete X amount of work within a certain amount of time to pay my rent. And so that is kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard for me to be on top of everything and also make the thoughtful video essays that I want to make, right? So I'm going to do slightly more reaction content. I know that that's not everyone's favorite. You guys will occasionally get very well edited, a little bit more prepared live streams. But on top of that, you're going to get your more intense video essays. So you're going to get more work. It's just going to be not as polished and pretty all the time. Though I think the more I do it, the more polished and pretty it's going to get. I've also made a point of expanding my team a bit. We do have a new editor. Shout out to Khalid, who has been really amazing on my channel, is a really great editor. Please go and support his YouTube channel and follow his stuff because he's great. And also Alyssa. Alyssa is great. Alyssa has been my assistant for the past couple of years. She's a badass. She does most of the researching that you guys see me doing on here. And she's been there through most of my, like, I'm going to do this ambitious project thing. And then I don't end up doing the ambitious project sort of thing. But anyway, shout out to her. She's been great. Shout out to Becky, who occasionally edits for Movies in My Closet, which is a project that I will probably bring back, but it is not a project that makes me money, so I have to be thoughtful about that. But anyway, I'm saying all this to say that I am excited about next year, mostly because I think I now understand myself and what I can do a lot more. So I hope you guys will stick with me into the next year. I know the world is real scary and weird right now, and one of the things I will say is that, I know we all know it. I know we all know it, and we don't have to hyperfixate on it or, make it the hot topic every single day. We really don't. And even though I'm going to, I can't help myself. I'm going to talk about it. I would rather have my channel be really what I wanted it to be when I started it, which is a place for people to feel like they have community, right? And I'm so invested in community shit right now that I kind of feel more compelled to shift certain things in that direction. I want to share what I'm learning so that you can learn it too, kind of stuff. I think that a lot of the stuff I'm thinking about right now, a lot of the shit that I'm working on right now, I think it's going to become really important to us. I'm about to sew a bunch of clothes because I have to, right? And I think that is, I don't know, I'm excited about what it will look like for me to essentially return to my roots, which is, I'm a DIY till I die type of gal. I'm excited to really embrace that and make it part of my platform in a way that I've always wanted to. So yeah, you guys are still going to get content. You're going to get a lot of content, more content than you have gotten this year. But, it's going to be a little bit more casual, and every once in a while, it's going to be not as casual. It's not going to be as casual as it has been on here, I'll say that. But it's going to be not always like a 4K video essay, basically. And I know now that you guys are fine with that, so I feel less bad about that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you guys next time. If you would like to keep up with me, Patreon is probably the best way to do that. Patreon is where I upload a lot of my videos about the bullshit behind what I'm working on and like the various stressors. And I actually think next year, because of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I'm actually gonna have so much more stuff for Patreon because I'm gonna be producing more stuff. The big thing that I'm trying to do is celebrate the fact that I'm a blogger who has a wide range of things I can do. And that's a skill, that's a talent. And a lot of it comes down to creativity. And I think creativity is like a very important muscle that is actively being discouraged right now because it's one of the things that fights against fascism, right? So, we're not going to be as heavy-handed as that on here, but you know what I mean? Creativity is something that I want to continue to promote, and it's something I've always wanted to make more of a mainstay of my channel. So I'm thinking that 2026 is going to be mostly about that, where I'm intentionally spending most of my time being creative. And yeah, making content too, but most of my time being creative. And encouraging others to be creative. My grandma was a teacher. There's actually a high school that's named after her. And my mom was a substitute teacher every once in a while. And so I've kind of recognized that I kind of have that teacher thing in me too. And I want to do that. So I have a lot of different ideas of what that looks like. So I am excited to see you guys into the next year. And I hope you guys will continue to stick with me. And as per usual, I want you to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye.